We're here to protect you and the ones that you love. It's a good feeling to know that our efforts aren't going unnoticed.
It actually brought tears to my eyes to know that we have this support.
You're welcome. I must just say, you're welcome. It's stressful, but we're not going anywhere.
Welcome to another edition of Bucknell Women's Lacrosse Through the Decades. My name is Todd Newcomb, and tonight we have a really special edition for you. Tonight we get to hear from the ladies that started it all for Bucknell Women's Lacrosse at Bucknell. This is the decade of the 1970s. That's when the program turned to varsity status, and we've got some great guests joining us, joining head coach Jackie Dando and one of our current players, Eva Macris. Eva is a junior defender from Baldwin, Maryland, and we really appreciate her being on the call. I want to thank Geisinger as our sponsor for this event. Geisinger has been absolutely phenomenal throughout the entire pandemic, and they are tremendous with our students here at Bucknell on a day in and day out basis, so we thank them for all that they do. Without any further ado, let me introduce today's guest. Our first guest is Pam Heller from the class of 1978. Pam also had a son who graduated from Bucknell in 2008. She was the team captain in 1978 when she tied for the team lead with 11 goals. She also played field hockey and basketball for Bucknell, earning all Middies second team honors in field hockey in 1977. She won the Margaret L. Bryan and the Christy Mathewson Awards at the Senior Awards Dinner. She was inducted into the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame in the year 2000. Our second guest from the class of 1978 is Valerie Johnson. She tied for the team lead with 11 goals and led the team with 4 assists in 1978. She was an all-Central Pennsylvania fourth team selection in that year as well. Our next guest from the class of 1979 is Jean Baker. Jean was the team captain in 1978. She was all-Central Pennsylvania fourth team in 1978 and all-Pennsylvania first team in 1979. She competed with the Southern number 2 regional all-star team in the 1979 national tournament. She was a 4-year letter winner as well as a member of the field hockey team at Bucknell. And our next guest from the class of 1979 as well is Karen Wegener. Karen had a son that graduated from Bucknell in 2014. She was the team captain in 1979. She was an all-Central Pennsylvania first team selection in that year. She was selected to the Southern number 3 regional all-star team in that year for the national tournament. She was also a captain of the basketball and field hockey teams. She won the Bison Club and Christy Mathewson Awards as a senior, and she became one of the first 2 women inducted into the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame in 1985. So, Coach, it's a great group. Really excited to hear how lacrosse got put on the map here at Bucknell, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you so much for coming. It's nice to meet everyone.
Great to see everybody.
It really is.
Yeah, really excited to connect tonight. We've had great Zooms so far through the decades. So we have 2 more left. We can't wait to keep it going. So the first question tonight for each of you is if you can share a little bit about what has happened since you graduated from Bucknell and where you are now, where you're living, career, family life, and anything else you'd like to share. So Pam, can we start with you?
Sure. So before you came on, I was reconnecting with Karen because our husbands both played lacrosse at Bucknell together. I married Don in '82, and he was captain his senior year, which was a year ahead of mine. And we live in Westchester County, New York, just north of the city. We have 2 sons, and as Todd mentioned, one went to Bucknell, graduated as a Mechie. And my other son is out in California getting a PsyD degree. And career-wise, I've been teaching preschool for 24 years, but I came out of Bucknell and was a corporate banker for 9 years before I pivoted when I had kids. And I have not played any of those kinds of team sports since I graduated, which is very sad. But I've always played tennis, so I continue to play tennis, and I picked up golf, which is my new love. And I, you know, who knew a ball that doesn't move could be so challenging? But, you know, that is, you know, my new athletic career, so to speak. And I guess that's it. We're really happy. We have no plans to move. We're going to stay here forever, and hope to see everybody in person eventually when I get back, because this is really great. This is great reconnecting.
Thanks, Pam. Val.
Yeah, I'm Val Dymon. I married Randy Dymon 2 weeks after I graduated from Bucknell. And we went right from there to Penn State to grad school, and floated around for a while. We settled in Wisconsin for 10 years, where my husband was teaching. He's a civil engineer professor. He was teaching civil engineering at UW-Platteville. And from there, 22 years ago, we moved here to Blacksburg, Virginia, where he was also a professor in civil engineering. And I haven't had a career per se for a long time. I floated around with a few things. And then when we got here, I settled into academic advising at Virginia Tech and did that for 17 years and just retired 2 years ago. We have 3 kids. Our oldest, our son, is another Hokie, Virginia Tech. And he is also a professor, he and his wife, and they are in Minnesota with 2 girls. Our next oldest, a girl, is a physical therapist and currently practicing in Norfolk, Virginia. And our youngest is in Richmond, Virginia, also married with 2 kids. And she's an accountant right now, working for a large insurance company. So that's pretty much it. We love Blacksburg, Virginia. It's a beautiful place. I also have not played lacrosse since I left Bucknell. It's a hard sport to kind of gather a group together to play. I am an avid gym rat. I was until COVID hit and gym attendance kind of fell through the floor. But I'm also an avid hiker, cyclist, and a canoeer. I'm in charge of a women's canoe group here that's been in existence for over 25 years. We normally meet on a weekly basis, but this year, again, things kind of have fallen apart. So that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Val. Karen, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I live in Lewisburg. Chuck and I got married in 1983, so a year after Pam and Don. We lived in Germany for the first part of our married life, and then Chuck got a job in the DC area, so we were there for 2 years. He's a mechanical engineering professor, retired 2 years ago from Bucknell. After Washington, DC, we ended up in Japan for 3 years where he taught, and I did all kinds of odd job kinds of things. And then a position opened up at Bucknell, and it was always kind of Chuck's dream to come back to Bucknell to teach. So that was in 1990. And then at that time, I was pregnant with our first, Katrina, and then the second one came along, Carlton. He's the one who's a Bucknell grad. Then the third one came along in 1994. And just luckily, a former professor, Dick Ellis, we ran into each other in the supermarket, and he said, "Hey, you're in town. How about teaching some bio labs?" And so I said, "Well, you know, we've got some kids and they take a little bit of time." And he goes, "Oh, well, just, you know, teach a lab a semester or so." So I did that from 1990 to 94. And then my current position, lab director of core course biology, opened up, and that's what I've been doing since then. And so, as Pam mentioned, my husband also played lacrosse at Bucknell, and we love the sport. And so when our kids got to be middle school age and there was no lacrosse in the area, we said, you know, let's see if there's any interest. And so we built the Lewisburg program from the ground up, and when PIAA, which is Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, decided that club sports were not allowed to play with varsity sanctioned teams, then we started getting teams started in the area. So that's how Danville and Mifflinburg, Milton had a team at one time, Selinsgrove. So we got 6 girls teams, including Bellefonte, and 5 boys teams started in the intervening years. And so he coached the Lewisburg boys team for a number of years. I coached Lewisburg for 7, Mifflinburg for 7, and then I retired in 2015 and became an official. And I'm the rules interpreter for our Central Susquehanna chapter, and I try to recruit some players who are not playing on your team, Jackie, but who would like to stay in touch, stay connected to the sport. So I haven't played on an actual team, but I've thrown around with my players quite a bit over the past few years.
Wow.
And of course, last semester, the season was canceled for the high school team, so there was not much officiating to be done. So we're hoping for a better time next spring.
And Karen got to come out on the field to one of our warm-ups this past season, which was pretty fun.
Just in time before your season was canceled.
It was one of the last games. If only we had known. Thanks, Karen. And then lastly, Jean.
Hey, you guys did a great job talking. So, I got married right out of Bucknell to my husband, John, and he was in the Air Force. So we went to Germany for 3 years, and I did a lot of teaching there. I actually saw Karen when we were in Germany. So, so that was fun. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
And then we went to Louisiana for 3 years where I sold computers and started having children. I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, and I have 5 grandchildren and 1 on the way. So,
Oh my God, I'm jealous.
After that, we moved he got out of the Air Force and he went to fly for Delta Airlines. So we moved to Massachusetts and we've been there ever since. We've been here 31 years, so I'm not sure why. And we have a hobby shop that he opened. So I do that. I do all the books for that. And I coached field hockey for 17 years and I officiated for 10 years. And I'm done field hockey officiating for the last 3 years now. Hope to do it this fall, but may not work out. I did lacrosse officiating for 18 years, and I played on club teams till I was like 35 till we moved up here. So, and that was a long time ago. My kids are, my oldest daughter has 4 children, and she's doing the homeschooling mom stuff. Right now, she was an English teacher. And my son's a mechanical engineer, interestingly enough. He works for Roush Engineering in Detroit and does car cool stuff. And my youngest daughter's a doctor, and she also lives in Massachusetts, and she has 1 3/4 children. So, and I don't know, I probably missed something in there, but that's what I've been doing. So basically being a mom and doing stuff on the side, so, and a grandmom. That's the best thing ever. So
I agree.
So yesterday I babysat and we were out there playing field hockey for like 45 minutes, and apparently they can run a lot faster than I can now. So. But anyhow.
So it was great to hear all this about you guys. I thought it'd be good for Jackie to tell you all a little bit about her background, since she's a new coach of the program, and give her thoughts on what it's been like at Bucknell. Granted, she hasn't been here that long, and she got her first season cut short in a way no one would ever want it to be done. But Jackie, if you want to give a little update on yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Todd. So I grew up in outside the Philadelphia in Westchester, Pennsylvania, if anyone's familiar with that. So I've always been in Pennsylvania, very familiar with Bucknell growing up and the academic reputation, which is Pretty neat that I'm here now. I went and played Division III lacrosse and some field hockey also in college, and double majored, really wanted the full student athlete experience and was lucky to have that at Messiah College. After college, I started coaching. So I've been coaching for 12 years now. So I've been in it for a little bit, which has been amazing and extremely rewarding. I started at Haverford College outside of Philadelphia. And then I moved to Villanova, so kind of right down the street. Still coaching lacrosse there and being able to see the Division I experience more. And then after a little bit as an assistant coach, I became a head coach of a smaller Division III school called Lebanon Valley, which actually competed in the same conference that I played in when I was in college. Lebanon Valley just started a team in 2010. So when I arrived in 2013, it was only in the third year of the program. So it was great to build that program. I was there for 7.5 years before I came to Bucknell, and trying to use a lot of the same elements and growth that I implemented at Lebanon Valley in the program there into our own program at Bucknell. I think having a consistent coach at LVC was really important, and me being able to be there for a while, had to see a lot of success. And so when this position opened last year, it was definitely challenging with the timing. It was in January or December of 2019, 2020.
Oh boy.
So it was different, and I certainly wasn't looking to leave my old school, but knew what an amazing opportunity to coach at Bucknell and mentor such fantastic student athletes would be, and ended up applying and moving here and starting practice the same week I basically started in the office. So the season was the most important thing, and trying to make some changes while you're already in it is hard, but I thought the group was super supportive. The parents were really welcoming. All the other staff members at Bucknell were great, so I was really lucky to come in, and then COVID hit, obviously, so unfortunately it was super tough for the seniors. I feel like we were making strides, and then we got cut short, so that was really hard. But I stayed around Lewisburg over quarantine. I sold my house in Hershey to be able to stay here and really invest and start to learn the town and the community and the area a little bit better. So I did a lot of hiking and a lot of outdoorsy things since we're in quarantine, but it's a beautiful area to be able to do that, so I'm very lucky. And now we're back on campus, and a lot of schools aren't back on campus, so trying to use that to our advantage and start training soon this season and get to know the players deeper too. So that's kind of what it looks like. We are, like I said, lucky to be on campus and excited to get going for the fall season. So, all right, so the second question is, take us back to the beginning and how you wound up at Bucknell and on the women's lacrosse team. Val, do you want to start us?
Sure. I'm from Downingtown.
Oh my gosh.
Right next door to Westchester. That's where I first learned to play lacrosse at Agnes Irwin School for Girls, which is closer to Haverford.
Yeah.
But, and then moved out to Downingtown and went. There was a new program there at the time, actually, at the high school, but I played 4 years there. I graduated top of my class from high school, and so I was looking for a good academic school, and unlike my kids, I much preferred a smaller rural school, and so Bucknell was a natural fit for me. When I got there, as you'll find out from all these ladies, there was no lacrosse team. And as I recall, Pam can correct me if I'm wrong or if I remember incorrectly, because this was all a very long time ago.
I'm the same age as you, Val.
I know. But you may have a better memory, I don't know. The way I remember it was there was a group of us freshman girls who had all played lacrosse for years. And of course, Title IX was, starting to have an impact, and we basically petitioned for them to create a lacrosse team for us because there were people who wanted to play. And as I remember it, the response was, well, we need to know you're serious about this. So this first year, 74, 75, we'd like to see you get your group together and get out and practice every day and be on the field. And this was Bobby Testa at the time, was the
Coach. Yep.
coach there. And that's what we did the first year. A bunch of us would meet and play lacrosse, just self-directed that first year. And then I can't actually remember at which point, if we went club next year or the year after that.
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Karen.
78 was the first year we were varsity.
No, we
Yeah,
played.
varsity, yeah, but we had a club team before we
Yes.
were varsity.
right. Our sophomore year, we went club.
That's what I
Sophomore
thought.
and junior year. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So we were club status by the next year, our sophomore and junior years, and then varsity by our senior year in 78. So I guess they figured we were serious enough and there was enough of us interested that they made a team. So.
Karen, do you want to share your story about getting to Bucknell?
Well, I went to Abington High School, and Jean Bean went to a neighboring. Wait, what was your school?
What? Lower Moreland.
Lower.
Seriously?
I always get Marion and Moreland.
Lower Moreland.
Lower Moreland mixed up. Anyway, so we played against each other in our senior year, and we both played cover point, which was defense at opposite ends of the field. And so the girl that I was guarding, she said, we were talking about, you know, we were seniors and where are you going to college? And so I said, oh, I'm going to Bucknell. And she goes, oh, the cover point at the opposite end of the field, she's going to Bucknell too. And so then we found out that we were both going to Bucknell. And my recollection is our freshman year, like Val and Pam, we were trying to get people recruited so that we could have a team. And so we would go in at during January, and in the wintertime when we had a Jan plan, we would just recruit our fellow field hockey players,
Right.
tell them what a great sport lacrosse is and what a great crossover and similar skills and everything. And so we were cradling and throwing and catching in the gym during January to try and get people playing. And so that's, yeah, so we added to what Pam and Val had done the year before, and we played 2 years of club and then became varsity. So Jean Bean in my junior year, Pam and Val senior year, we became varsity.
Eva, do you know what cover point is?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh no! Have they changed the names of all the positions?
Yes, they have. Huh?
Oh my word.
Really?
Well, they just call it defense. There's no like D wings and point and cover point.
But they're still first, second, and third home?
No.
Attack,
Oh
just
my
attack.
God!
You're either an attack mini or a defender. So.
Eva's basically cover point though.
Wow.
He doesn't even know it. Doesn't even know it.
We're
Pam,
old.
do you want to share how you got to Bucknell?
Sure. So I wanted a school that looked like the fantasy college. Again, you know, size wasn't the issue. I just wanted it to look like a rah-rah pretty university. And the one requirement was there couldn't be a language requirement, because I had taken 4 years of French and I was the worst. I had no language gene in my body. So, and of course, you know, when we were looking at schools, the athletics were important and the academics. So we drove up from Baltimore, where I grew up. And by the way, in Baltimore, as Eva can attest, you just grew up playing lacrosse, hockey, and basketball. I mean, lacrosse, Baltimore is lacrosse. So I played.
You think so?
I played probably starting in, I don't know, second or third grade. They throw these little sticks at us, and you know, so it never occurred to me to check to see if there was a lacrosse team. Never, like I never would have thought of it. So anyway, I'm with my parents. I can vividly remember this, and we're driving up 15, and we go over the hill and see campus for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I want to go to school. And that was it. I was sold. So I played hockey, you know, the hockey program, even though they had just gotten varsity status, what, Todd, maybe 2 years before that? It wasn't
Yes.
very long.
Most of the women's programs were the late 70s, yeah.
Right. So I think either 1 or 2 years before I arrived. But it was set. It was varsity. Basketball was set. As Val said, lacrosse comes along and it's like, okay, guys, where's the team? And there really were just a handful of us, like maybe 5 of us or so. I mean, there was not anything. We had no games. We had nothing. So, yeah, we used to go and throw around. I would throw around with some of the guys lacrosse players because, you know, at least that was something too. And then, yeah, so we, as Val said, we lobbied and got the club team for our sophomore year. And then thank God, Legs and Jean and some of the others came along and we could actually field a team, which was questionable. And we converted people like Bobby Castens, who had never seen a stick, by the way. I went in my attic. Eva, here's your history lesson. This was my stick. And I pulled it out of the attic, and the first thing I did was I pulled on a string. It broke right off. I thought, let me see if I can tighten it. Anyway, just so you know, this is what it looked like. All wood. Anyway, and so my sophomore and junior year, my and Val's was club. I don't know that we felt a difference as far as varsity. It was a very small number of games we played, maybe 5 or 6, I don't know, something like that. And then varsity status came senior year, and I think we had 9 games. I think that was about right. You know, it was tough going. Lacrosse was tough going. We had to work hard to get a team. So there we go.
And it's my impression, like you were mentioning, Karen, that we recruited a lot of people to play who had not actually played before.
Never picked up a stick.
Yeah, like Margaret Filio, I don't know if she had ever played before.
No.
I didn't.
She was just a great athlete. And
right.
So I said, hey, here's a stick. You can do this.
And that was the case with a number of people, is they were athletic and picked it up. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. Jean.
Same question.
Do you remember the question?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we're good. So yeah, so I met Karen at our last high school game, and I knew that there wasn't lacrosse at Bucknell, and I had gotten in. I really liked the campus and everything, of course, because it's the best campus still. So, and my kids went to Brown and Trinity and Lafayette, but there's hands down Bucknell is the best campus. So, but it was a big decision for me because I knew there wasn't lacrosse, and that was like my main sport. Like I was better at that than field hockey. So my parents were like, your education, you know, is more important. I'm saying, yeah, right. And okay, we'll do this. So, and I remember we had Coach Bobby Tessa came up to Karen and I, and we're trying to get lacrosse started. And she goes, what position do you guys play? And we're like, oh, well, we play the same position. So the 2 people in our whole class, we played the same position. She goes, well, we're going to have to separate you. So, but it was just, so there was, right, I think it was just all other field hockey players. And we ended up with a couple basketball players that we taught how to play. And also, just to mention, the coaches didn't know how to play. So they would all the time go, okay, like Jean, demonstrate this, or Karen, demonstrate this.
Right.
Or, you know, so that's constant.
I forgot that. You're right. They were not familiar with lacrosse, Bobby.
Right.
And
so we spent the entire practice demonstrating, like, you're going to teach everybody how to play, and off we went. So, but it was a ton of fun. The biggest thing I remember too is like we'd go to the tournaments or the games, and you always had to get ice cream after. So we always stopped for ice cream, I'm pretty sure, like constantly. But it was, I don't know, it was a ton of fun. And I think that's like the most important thing. Like, I know a lot of kids go off to college and they play sports and they're not having fun. So I think we all had a great time, and it was hard work, but it was a lot of fun. So I went to the tournament, like you had to do like 3 tournaments to get to nationals. That was like pre-NCAA, and I went sophomore year when we were just a club, and went and paid my own way, which I know today would never happen. So I got my car, I drove to, it was at Brown, I drove up to Rhode Island from Philadelphia and played. So, which I can't picture that happening today, but but they would drive us around these vans too. I remember that. And field hockey, we had a bus, but lacrosse, I never remember having a bus for. So
There weren't enough of us.
what?
There weren't enough of us to fill a bus.
Yeah, probably. So it was two vans. So, but it was literally just every single person we knew who was on other teams came and played lacrosse. So, and then the year behind us, their kids came in that knew how to play also. So that was helpful.
Really?
But like Bobby and Margaret were phenomenal athletes. They were phenomenal lacrosse players too. So, and I don't know, there you go. So.
Thank you. All right, Eva, I'm going to throw it over to you for a question.
Sweet. So my first question was, what advice would you give me or any of my teammates about the college lacrosse experience? Val, if you want to start.
The most important thing, I think, is just to enjoy it. I mean, I didn't come from a time period where, you know, being an athlete in college was anything overly serious. So I'm coming from that point of view, but, you know, having started to play organized sports at a young age and then being able to play lacrosse through college, I think the discipline and the workout experience and the camaraderie and the fun that you have is the most valuable thing you can get out of it.
Awesome, thank you. Pam, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I would echo what Val said. Absolutely, be in the moment, because after you graduate, even if you do some sort of adult league or something, it's definitely not the same thing. So really enjoy every minute, even the silly things like getting ice cream. For us, it was like, oh my God, we can go to McDonald's? Really? We can stop at Mickey D's? And that was like, oh, wow. And we'd be singing on the bus and all that sort of silly stuff. The other thing I would mention is be a good teammate and be a role model. You're a junior, so you're already seeing freshmen coming in, and next year there will be some nervous freshmen coming in, and I know when I first came to campus and stepped foot on the field hockey team, even though, you know, I was an accomplished field hockey player, you are a basket of nerves and you're like wet behind the ears. And Karen Schultz, who was a senior and captain that year, sort of took me under her wing, and we became great friends, but she was always there to answer the stupid questions and to help me navigate freshman year. So I would just say, you know, pay it forward. And also similar, but, you know, not everybody's a great athlete who's on the team, and not everybody can be the best player. So everybody can contribute in different ways, and just accept, you know, that hope that everybody's doing the best and putting in the effort. And, you know, if you win, you win. If you lose, somebody's got to lose. So it's now, I know, more serious than when we were there. But we were all competitive and we all wanted to win, but you can't always win. So, you know, you have to sort of take it in stride, learn how to lose. You know, that's sort of a cliche, but you have to learn how to lose, and just be grateful that you can play and develop these wonderful friendships that you'll have probably forever.
That was great. Thank you. Coach, I think we need to bring back that ice cream tradition.
We did go to Chick-fil-A this year, so it's kind of like.
Ooh, I love Chick-fil-A. Karen, would you like to speak next?
Sure. I can't add anything really to what Pam and Val said, except when you're finished with college, think about officiating, think about coaching little kids. I think when you're right out of college, the little kids just look up to you. I mean, the high school kids look up to you, and Jean Bean and I know that we're always recruiting officials. We can never get enough of them. So pay it forward when you graduate.
Awesome. Thank you. Jean?
I think one of the things I think we were all really good sports too. Like, and that was just part of I think probably we came in that way, but it was definitely part of it. And I think our coach was exceptional also, like to give positive feedback to all of us, and just, I don't know, I never felt like demeaned or anything like that. I mean, I don't think that was part of it. I think we all went away feeling really, really good, and we did win. So, and it was just, I don't know. I just think being positive and with each other also. I coach kids and everything, and I think that's the best thing you can have, like to be a good teammate. And I would say, I mean, just getting on and seeing Pam and Val, it's like awesome. And Karen and I have kept up with each other forever. So just, those are the best friends you're going to have. So, but that's it.
Okay, so we're going to skip a question just because we've been kind of talking through a couple of them. So the next question is, who was a teammate you most admired on the team and why? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I got two of them right here, and Val. I don't remember Val as well as I remember Pam and Jean Bean, but one of the younger teammates that we had, Ann Kennedy, she was actually from Downingtown, your alma mater, Val, and she was just such a pretty player and so polite and just a role model for, older. She's 2 years younger than Jean and me, and she was just such a nice player to watch. She had great skills already, and I don't know, I looked up to the people on this call, as well as some of the younger ones like Ann Kennedy.
Thanks, Karen. Jean.
Well, I thought about this question. It's you can't really go there, but I had three exceptional teammates in field hockey and lacrosse, and it was Karen, Margaret, and Bobby, and they were just like exceptional people. And all three of them played field hockey, basketball, and lacrosse. I was too uncoordinated to play basketball. It was really bad. But I just so you're playing with them, and they're just keeping, I had to keep up. And since I didn't play basketball, like going out in the spring, they of course are in shape, and I'd be like plugging along behind. And Margaret was infuriating. Because we'd gone on these 3-mile runs before practice, so I'm dying because it's winter and there was nowhere to work out. And she'd run to the beginning of the line, then she'd come back for me, and go, come on, you can do better than that. She could literally run all day long. It was really discouraging. So, and then Pam was just a great lacrosse player and field hockey. And she got really hurt her senior year in lacrosse. So she had her jaw wired shut. And she's talking to me through her jaw going, you can do it. You can go try out for nationals and you're going to make it. And I'm like, it was too much pressure. But here she is. She's completely wired. You were home for 6 weeks, weren't you, or something? It was bad. So, but great teammates. So. Hard to keep up with them.
Val.
Well, like these guys said, we didn't have anybody older to look up to because there was nobody before us, but I clearly remember Pam being a really good player, and Karen, and the other ones mentioned, Margaret and Bobby Cassins, just super athletes and super players, and I strongly admired all of them. The person who impacted me most in lacrosse, though, I would have to say, was my high school coach, Jackie Huffnell, who was just super, super person. And I know she went on and reffed for many years and into even national playoff games. And it was just a great experience to be with her for 4 years. I think that was my greatest role model in lacrosse.
Thank you. And Pam.
I would have to say, you know, different sports have different people, but, you know, back then a lot of us played 2 or 3 sports. So it was, you went from here to here to here with the same wonderful women. But Wags, I look at you like the road runner. The wheels just kept spinning. Karen could run up and down the field 20 times smiling and never get tired. And I just didn't understand that. I mean, Jean, I'm totally there with you. I remember you running with your long legs and but Karen was just like, yeah, you're tired, throw it to Karen. She'll just take it down the field. So, but you know, everybody had pitched in and really in lacrosse, even more than field hockey, because we were such a small nucleus, and there were no reserves, as you'll hear when there were injuries, it was really trouble. But so everybody supported everybody else. I think we all formed, year to year, new relationships, but it just seemed to roll forward very nicely. And, I admired everybody, all of us that stuck it out, because there was no program.
We also never subbed, by the way. So
we didn't have any subs.
In field hockey, it's just 11 people. So you didn't, there was a JV, so you didn't get subs. So you played. But
Eva,
how many people do you carry on the team now?
Eva, why don't you share?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but I'm gonna say 42 people.
Oh my God.
Is that correct?
No JV. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I came from a high school that carried 45 on their varsity.
Wow, huge.
Have they increased the number of players on the field?
No.
That's amazing.
But we can scrimmage every practice, which is really nice. Full field scrimmage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started on that field down below.
Right. Tustin Field.
Yep. And what year did we move across 15 onto? Was it?
I'm thinking either sophomore or junior year. We were definitely on the Westfield senior year, but I don't know. And we never touched AstroTurf.
Oh gosh, no.
That was not a thing.
We used to run out the river road, the lower road that went along the river. We used to run out there. So
right.
Running.
Run the golf course.
Well, they would alternate corn and soybeans right next to the field, and they didn't have the bathrooms out there yet. So the years when soybeans were planted, we were in big trouble because we had to run all the way back to the field house.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Eva, another question?
Yes. So what advice do you have about networking and finding the right job after Bucknell? Jean, if you want to start.
Oh, no. I'm the worst person to do that. So, I think people definitely I would just do any of that, even friends of the family, but other Bucknellians. So it's just, I would just try and go for that, for networking. I mean, the more people you know, the better off you are. So, but go ahead.
Val, what do you think? Sorry, Eva, I just cut you off.
Coming from an academic advisor standpoint, the networking is crucial. I mean, I was an advisor in a big engineering program here at Virginia Tech, and there was so much stuff offered on campus for people to take advantage of, and I'm sure it's the same way there. And just take advantage and do it. I guess it depends on what major you are, but you know, internships in the summer are just huge. You get your foot in the door, you get to start meeting people, and if you can do that as much as possible, that's a big leg up.
Thank you. Pam?
Exactly what Val said, but also, for example, I was an art history major. I think I took a class from every subject that was offered at Bucknell because I really wanted the global experience. I did not take geology. That I did not take. So I didn't, and I came in undecided. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to go into something having to do, you know, to use my art history. I did two internships between my sophomore and junior year and junior and senior year at museums, and decided that was not for me. So here I am with an art history major, and what am I going to do? So my uncle was in finance in New York City, and I was planning on moving to New York City, and he suggested I should look at banking because they do their own training program, so you don't have to know everything ahead of time. And if you persevere, you know, and you hopefully through your Bucknell education have developed, you know, problem-solving skills and all that good stuff. You can make it in anything. So I applied and got a job at JP Morgan, which was called Morgan Guarantee back then. And, you know, moved up the ranks, and it had nothing to do with art history, which became simply being in New York City and going to museums all the time. So I would just say, follow your passion. And even if maybe you don't even know what you want to do. I mean, my son was a mechanical engineer. He, you know, had a path. But if you're a liberal art, what is your major? I forget.
I'm a psychology major.
Psychology major. Okay. So, you know, you can do anything with a psychology major. My younger son was a psychology major at Tufts. He worked at a couple different psychiatric centers, and now he's getting his PsyD at Stanford. So there are all different ways you can go. But I would just say, don't stress out about your first job because it's your first job. And even though other friends of yours, you know, might know ahead of time from a summer internship, they got an offer back then when you go into senior year, just stay calm and network and go to all the fairs, and something will pop. And if it's not exactly what you want, but it seems like a good job, you might want to consider taking it anyway, just to, you know, take a bite out of it. Just try not to get caught in it does no good personally and finding a job to get stressed out about it. You got to stay calm and confident. You know, you're a Bucknellian. You'll find something to do. I promise.
Thank you. Karen?
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're an athlete, you already know teamwork and perseverance and you know, all those good things that you learn on the field are going to be useful to you in whatever career you're going into. And I probably shouldn't say this, but you know, when students apply to be TAs for my courses, if there's an athlete among them and it's a tie between an athlete and a non-athlete, I'll take the athlete anytime, because I just know what I'm getting with an athlete.
Thank you.
Okay, the last question, and we'll keep this brief, is if you have any advice for myself as the new head coach of the Bucknell Women's Lacrosse program. Pam, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Our coach, Bobby Testa, I don't know, did you guys have Bobby for all of your years too?
Yep. Except Rose Ewan was our coach senior year for lacrosse and field hockey.
Bobby, I thought, was a really good coach. And what made her a good coach is that she was firm but not tough. You know, there's a subtle difference between forcing kids to do something than being supportive and asking them to do it in a way that they want to do it for you. You have to somehow bridge that. And I know, being a coach, well, you know, you've almost all been coaches, so you know, you have to be the parent, you have to be the coach, you have to be the mentor, you have to be a shoulder to cry on, and you have to be a friend. And it's hard, but you have to maintain the respect of your teammates, and you just have to have an open heart, and you have to see each team member for whatever they can contribute to the team. And it might, as I said before, it might not be their athletic ability. It might just be because they're super supportive or they're a great cheerleader on, you know, on the sidelines. That's what I would say. Be firm, but not too tough. If you're too tough, it never works out right. And as Jean said, stay positive, even in the face of losses. You just have to, you know, tell them that they'll do it next time. I don't know, all the coaching things you guys say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, Pam. Jean?
I think one of the things is being fair. So if the kids know you're fair and you know, you make a tough decision, they know that you have their best interests at heart. And it's just, I always felt like our coaches are fair. I try and be super fair with kids, and obviously they're not all getting the same playing time at Bucknell, I would say, but you know, if they know you're fair and they are gonna admire you and they're gonna play their hearts out. I would have done anything for our coaches. So and I also feel like when I was coaching, I was very frustrated because I would get to, you know, like you get to districts and I could never make the team quite get to like states, and we just missed. And there was another horrible coach that would always go to states. And it was so frustrating to me, but I had an official turn around and say to me, your kids love you. And there's nothing that replaces that. So I think that's the way to be a good coach. So, but.
Thanks, Jean. Val, any advice?
They all said really great things. I think the only other thing I would add is to just let your team, to enjoy yourself and let your team see your love of the game. Because I think if you really enjoy what you're doing and your love of the game shows through, it's going to be contagious, and it's going to make everybody that's out there working hard on the field to want to be there. So I think that's the only thing I would add.
Thanks, Val. And Karen?
Yeah, I think especially the high school kids these days, they have so many pressures. I mean, social media makes me crazy, and they'll come onto the field, and yesterday two girls were talking to each other, and today they're not talking to each other. So I say, well, what happened? And they said, oh, well, you should have seen what she wrote on Facebook or something. And I'm like, you guys are a team now. You can just forget all that stuff. And I feel like lacrosse is just, you know, you get on the field, you come to practice, and you can just get away from all of the other troubles that you have, you know, going on in your life. And having a supportive coach makes that so much fun to go every day.
Oh, I have one more suggestion I just thought of. Lacrosse is not an Olympic sport yet, right? for either men or women. Yeah. If it's possible, and Jackie, you seem to have a lot of connections, if you could bring in 1 or 2 exceptional players from either graduated big time programs or whatever to do a little exhibition. I remember our senior year in field hockey when we got to play with and see Julie Staver and Nancy Stevens, who were exceptional. They were going to the Olympics. I mean, they ended up not going in 80, but anyway, it was so inspirational. And to see a really good athlete in your sport is just inspiring. And that might be something that would be really fun for the girls. So.
Yeah, so women's lacrosse has a U.S. team. We just don't have an Olympic team.
Well, if you know any of the U.S. players, come, bring them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for your time tonight.
Sure, it's great to see
us together.
Great to see everybody.
You guys too.
Yeah, so in wrapping up, I just want to
It
first
was
of
a
all
lot of fun.
turn my attention to Eva and thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight. Wish you the best of luck this semester and keeping our fingers crossed if you're playing competitive lacrosse in the spring. That's what we all hope for. And ladies, what a special treat to hear from you all and hear about how the program got started and really talk a little bit about where it's been and where it's gone and where it's going. And I've talked a lot with Jackie already about one of the things we need to do with women's lacrosse is reunite the Bucknell lacrosse family. Because the program has had so many different coaches over the years, there's a lot of fracture among the alumni. So, you know, Jackie and I will put together a plan and we really hope to do that. So look for more information about that. And I appreciate all that you did when you were here as players and students, and also what you do and continue to do for Bucknell and the lacrosse program now. And for those of you at home that tuned in to watch tonight, I thank you for doing that, and go Bison.